In the last lecture, we discussed some details and the fundamental basics about the asymptotic analysis method. And in this lecture, we will be using that method to analyze the frequency domain performance of a converter in continuous conduction mode. Okay. Let me give you some introduction. From the previous lecture, we know this, the audio susceptibility is expressed in this form, GBS divided by 1 plus TMS, and the TMS is this one, loop gain, and output impedance is GPS divided by 1 plus TMS. Okay. From the previous small signal analysis, transfer function derivation of buck converter, we know all of this. We know this GBS and GPS, and we know this GVDS, we know FM, and assume we know FBS. Okay, so you know everything. Five transfer functions appearing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they are all known. So you have two choices here. One is you have the expression, 5 different transfer functions. Put them here and do the manipulation, analytical derivation, and come up with the result. Okay, that is the conventional method. That is the called brute force method. We want to avoid this. Okay, maybe you have some equation here, or you put, if this is the third order system, this is the first order system, very complicated. Okay, then maybe you use some software to do this dirty job for you, and the software will provide this long equation, maybe pages of pages equation, which are just garbage. They not provide the important information about this transfer function, and furthermore, they don't provide any insight to improve this, okay, or any design information to have desired structure of this one, desired structure of this one, loop gain. Okay? What I'm trying to say is this is possible for every student, but result is useless. Okay? Just a bunch of garbage, some equations, does not provide any insight in the circuit operation, and absolutely no information about design. Okay? So this, we don't want to use this. And second choice is asymptotic analysis method. We discussed in the previous lecture. And as you will see, this lecture provides all the information about the circuit operation structure and how to design compensation to optimize the closed loop performance. And if closed loop performance is not satisfactory, how to modify this, how to fix, how to obtain the best possible closed loop performance. Okay, all the information is graphical. Okay, that does not require any calculation. Just insight on the graphics provide all the necessary information. Okay, of course there are some minor difference with exact analysis. Okay, if you use computer, maybe MATLAB, okay, then the result will be slightly different. But MATLAB, you are totally blind. You don't know what's going on there. Okay, but here you know everything. You are controlling everything. So this is the way we use. And in the next slide, we start the details application of this asymptotic analysis approach to our previous buck converter example. Okay, lecture 3. I think we went through this, but I have one additional comment on this. And before that, I made one mistake in the previous lecture. So let me clarify that first. This one, okay. This graphical construction, you are subtracting this from this, okay? So distance from here should be same as distance from here to there. So it was wrong. Some student point this out. So I found my mistake. So this length should be the same. Okay, this is the proper way of drawing this graphical construction. Okay, we go back to the chapter opening page of lecture 3, and we discussed this implication of this. Even though you know everything about this 5 transfer functions, you don't want to do some calculation or analytical manipulation on that using 5 transfer functions to evaluate this one. I said that's the worst approach, brute force method. So we'll be using this asymptotic analysis method. This is graphical approach. As you'll see soon, so we'll be using this graphical method. I told you this method, this graphical method or asymptotic analysis method is originally proposed Dr. David Middlebrook, and he coined one term. So this kind of method he defined as algebra on graphics. Okay, so you'll find out the meaning of this. Right. So with this background, we'll move on. This is second page of lecture 3, and here we'll be discussing the analysis of audio susceptibility. I explain you the origin of this strange term, audio susceptibility, and this is the small signal circuit model. You have two different models for the small signal representation of this converter. First one is the circuit model, the other one is block diagram model. So some case this is convenient, but some other cases block diagram representation is much easier to deal with. Okay, so we're going to use this here, and this is the expression for the input to output noise transmission or audio susceptibility. This is the equation, and you have this input to output transfer function and 1 plus TMS. TMS is the loop gain defined as the negative of gain product of all the functional blocks along with this feedback path. So this TMS, okay, and we have initially we have negative sign here, so minus sign is here, and duty ratio to output transfer function, and we have this output to control voltage transfer function, and we have this negative sign here. So another minus sign is coming here, and this is control to duty ratio transfer function. So this is GVD, this is voltage feedback compensation function, FVS, and this is modulator gain FM. Alright, and this is the expression. Okay, so assume you know this. Okay, but okay, this is fine now. And this GBS is this one. This is the D is DC gain of this work converter, and this is a quadratic term, and this is the ESR0, and expression for this is this one. With the assumption with this, we just ignore the parasitic resistance of capacitor and the inductor, then we have this simplified term. Okay, so this is the formula. So as I said many times, you may be attempted to evaluate this because you know everything, but that is the worst approach. You shouldn't do that. Instead, you take this graphical approach, asymptotic analysis. So this is the basic idea of asymptotic analysis. This is expression of audio susceptibility, and you have two different expressions. This is valid for this frequency range where TMS, magnitude of loop gain, is larger than 1. Okay, this is not approximation. This can be approximation, but we are doing is definition. Okay, we define. This can be expressed by two different expressions, which is valid here, and another one is valid here. Okay, and the GBS expression is this one, and we assume this TMS is this one. This is the assumption, of course. TMS is something more complicated than this, and you will see that later. But now assume this, because to simplify our discussions, we don't need to use something more complicated than this. So assume this is a TMS. Okay. Then we have this one, and individually plot the magnitude plot of this. This is the integration, and the integration gain is omega c. So this is the linear line segment looking at this point, looking for this omega c point, and this is 0 dB line. Okay. And this is the input to output transfer function. Low frequency gain is t. So this is a horizontal line of 20 log t, and here we have double pole. So slope declined by 2, so you have -2 slope, and the ESR 0 is coming later. Okay, this is the usual case. So you have this. Okay, so you have two individual magnitude plot of this one and this one. Okay, and we use this to graphically construct the asymptotic plot of this one. Okay, so for the frequency beyond the loop gain, where loop gain magnitude is smaller than 1, smaller than 0 dB, at this frequency assume this AUS is same as GBS. That means it just follows this curve in this frequency range. Okay, it's not an approximation, it's our definition. So let me delete this. Okay, before that we have this relationship. Okay, this is the division in linear scale, and in log scale it is subtraction. Okay, so we are subtracting this one from this. Okay, so there are many ways of constructing this, but it's better to start at higher frequency. You start out this one and start drawing these lines. Okay, so first the length of this is the same as this, because you are subtracting this much from this, and length of this is the same as this, and length of this line segment should be same as this one. How about slope? Okay, if they have the same slope, the resulting asymptotic plot of this function is just horizontal line. That is obvious, because in terms of its slope, this slope is -1. So you are subtracting -1 from -1. So the slope is 0. Okay. In this region, this slope is -2 minus -1 is -1. So we have 0 slope here. And in here, this slope is 0, and -1 is +1 slope. Okay, so this is obvious. So this is the resulting audio susceptibility constructed from this using the asymptotic plot. Okay, I think I told you this before. There is many cases you come up with this. Okay, so during this analysis process, or in the process of designing the controller, you will come up with this kind of situation or not, or you intentionally use this method to simplify your design or analysis, or more importantly, this is the most systematic and simple way of doing this. Okay, so you have the asymptotic plot of this. This is the resulting audio susceptibility asymptotic plot, and from here you come up with this. Based on this asymptotic plot, you generate this. When constructing this transfer function, I said start from the low frequency, and low frequency slope is +1. This is a differentiation. So you have S here, and this is the gain of differentiation. and at this point, the slope is changed from +1 to -1. That means there is double pole. So there is double pole. And here you have 0. Okay, slope is changed from -1 to 0. There is a 0. So you have this 0, and slope is changed from 0 to -1. Then you have a pole. Okay, so everything is clear. So this is the expression for the audio susceptibility function, and one remaining task is to evaluate this. Okay, there are many ways of finding value of this. One easiest way is take a look at this. Okay, so at this frequency, this is the line segment of KAS. Okay, KAS is evaluate at this frequency, omega naught, double pole frequency. That value is this one. You know this one. This was 20 log D. So value at this point is D, and D is subtracted by this much, this length. Okay, you know this length because you know the equation of this, and to find out this length, you just plug this omega naught here. Okay, so in log scale, so value, this one is obviously 20 log D minus 20 log this one. So this is log scale. Then go back to the linear scale, and you have this, and with Ka is this one. So expression for the K1 is very easy to find out. Okay, so using this information around here, you obtain this, and from that equation you evaluate this, and this is assumption, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, this is the result of this analysis. But I have several comments on this. Okay, what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this audio susceptibility curve? Input to output noise transmission characteristic without feedback is this one. Okay, this one. So at this sinusoidal disturbance at this frequency is just attenuate this much. But this is closed loop audio susceptibility. Then you have additional attenuation of this much. Okay, so this explains the benefit of negative feedback. So with negative feedback, you can regulate our voltage at a constant value, and in addition to that, you improve this audio susceptibility this much. Okay, that's one thing. And you have this triangular region here. So meaning of this is the amount of improvement you can obtain with this feedback controller. What I mean is area of this triangle and area of this, they should be the same. Okay, they look different, but area should be the same because we construct these plus in this manner. So this area indicate this one. This one is what? Additional attenuation obtained from feedback. Okay. Without feedback, this input-output noise transmission curve is this one. Okay. With feedback, we improve this much. Another one is after this frequency, this attenuation factor is gone because this magnitude of loop gain is smaller than unity. Then this effect is gone. Okay. You didn't improve this area, but that's okay. All right. So ideally, you improve this to make these things zero out of this picture, but that is impossible because of this fact. Okay. Another one is this is the gain, integrated gain, and the effect of the larger integrated gain is extremely easy to see. So somehow you increase this much. This is the omega C prime. Okay, so you increase this thing to omega C prime rather than original omega C. Then resulting audio susceptibility curve will be this one. This is horizontal line and follows this and follows this. Okay, how much did you improve further? This much. This much. And this region. Okay, so if you increase this omega C interior gain, you have a better performance. Okay, then the natural question here is, then you can further improve this to make these things smaller. Okay, that is not possible because this characteristic of loop gain is ideal one. You cannot achieve this in practice. We are using this for the simplicity of explanation of this graphical procedure of constructing this asymptote and extracting this tensor function from the asymptote. Okay? Actually, there are additional things. If you increase this, you will have the stability problem. Okay? Instability will occur because there are some additional terms, and then you have some problem with high frequency and the system becomes unstable. This is not shown here. So this ideal case, this example, there is no problem how large omega C might be. Okay, practically that is not possible. So we'll discuss that later. Okay, so this is the most important slide about this graphical construction of asymptotic plot and extraction of tensor function. Okay, this is the graphical approach. This can be considered algebra on graphics. Okay, so you are not doing any calculation or anything. Just graphically you extract all the information. All right. So this is audio susceptibility analysis, and we repeat the same analysis for the output impedance. This is the output impedance analysis. It is shown here. Okay, so output impedance, everything remains same. This is just to change it. Okay, so it has low frequency pole, no zero, coming from this branch, and ESR zero coming from this branch. Okay, I explained this many times. And graphical construction of this, again, we are not approximating anything. We are defining due relationship with this, and this is what? This is the plot of this, and this is the plot of open loop load current to output transfer function. So low frequency gain of 20 log RL, and you have this 0 omega G at low frequency, and double pole is coming here, and omega ESR is here. So high frequency value is horizontal line of magnitude 20 log RC. Okay, that is very easy to see here. This is a closed loop transfer function. Okay, so even though this is a closed loop transfer function, when evaluating transfer function from here to there, this is shorted, this is shorted, this open, the primary winding is shorted, then secondary winding is shorted, and this becomes infinity, it is open, okay, and this shorted, you have this, okay. What about this feedback loop? Loop gain at high frequency is declining to the negative infinity because of, as shown here, usually loop gain have this structure. So at this high frequency, this value becomes very small. So effectively, that is the out of picture. Then what you are seeing is, regardless of presence of this, what you are seeing is this one parallel with this one. Then that is very similar to this one. So 20 log RC is always high frequency asymptote of this output impedance, open loop and closed loop all together. Okay, that is because of the circuit property of low pass filter and the characteristic of this loop gain at high frequency. Loop gain magnitude is declining always. Okay, that's out of picture. Right. So this is the value, and after this, you take this one, which is same as open loop transfer function and closed loop transfer function. And as previously, same as the previously, you do some subtraction here. So now this magnitude of this, and let me use this purple one. Magnitude of this is the same, and this is the same, and this is the same. All right. So this construction of this is same as the previous case. So here this slope is 0. So 0 minus 1 is plus 1. This is minus 1, same slope, remain the same, and this way, okay? I don't repeat this, okay? But you know this, how to do it, okay? Actually, you don't have to calculate minus 1, you don't have to do that. Graphically, you can construct this. Start from this higher frequency, all right? Then you come up with this. Then from this asymptotic plot, you construct this expression of this. So initially, you have this differentiation, KGS, and you have this low frequency 0 is coming first. So plus 1. Slope is increased plus 2, and you have double pole here. So slope is decreased by 2 horizontal line. You have another 0 at here, and you have final pole here. So you can plot this. Okay? And to find out this value, there are many ways of finding out this value. One simple way is just consider this magnitude. Okay? So this magnitude, from this, you put infinity here, then you just take a coefficient of this, which is this. Okay? This value, 20 log this one, is same as 20 log RC, which is high frequency asymptote in asymptotic plot, is the same as this analytical expression with S approaching to infinity. You have this, you calculate this. Okay? So from this information, you come up with this equation, and from this equation, you obtain this. Right? So again, this is the assumption. We assume this. Okay? So everything is very peaceful. Okay? Let me show one thing. So you increase this plot, this value of this one, integrate again. So now this, you have omega, omega C prime, then output impedance will be something similar to this. This will be plus 1 slope from here to here. Then you improve this much. Actually, you improve this much. Okay? Right? What happens? You deduce this integrate gain. You have smaller attenuation. You can graphically understand this. Okay? Again, the area of this shaded region, it should be same as this area of triangle, right angle triangle. And the shaded area is benefit of negative feedback obtained in reducing the output impedance. Okay? The ideal case output impedance should be 0, right? But that is impossible because of this. You cannot reduce this lower than this. This is the high frequency asymptote, which is the theoretical limitation. Unless you use smaller RC, this value is fixed. Okay? And analysis remain the same. Okay? So this one is good, except one fact. Okay? We assume the loop gain as simple integrator, but loop gain is the quantity you want to design. Okay? Loop gain is not given to you. You should design loop gain to obtain the ideal characteristic. Okay? In both loop gain and the audio susceptibility and output impedance. Okay? The ideal characteristic is a simple integrator actually. You have seen in the previous slide, but that is impossible. Okay? Absolutely impossible. Right? Okay. Then you should design this. So let's talk about the designing loop gain or finding out the optimal structure of this one. Okay? First, you want to show the problem of simple integrator. Simple integrator had some problem, and to avoid that problem, we'll come up with the optimal structure for this case. Okay, so loop gain is this one. This times. You have minus sign here, and loop gain has additional minus sign in front of this, so they cancel this one. This is the Dewey ratio to output transfer function. So this is the same as input to output transfer function, except this low frequency gain, and FM is modulator gain, which is given by this. Okay, I explained this. Okay, so the simplest possible way, just the slope of the ramp function, actually the inverse of the slope of ramp function. Okay. First case, assume this your integration is this one. No. Your voltage feedback compensation is this one. Okay. So you should design you are required to design TMS. Okay. But this is a fixed. This is a fixed. So the only remaining free variable you can select arbitrarily. You can select with your own design or own intention is this one. You cannot touch this, they are fixed. Okay, so assume this, initially assume this is the simple integrator. Maybe you obtained some hint here because the loop gain of this one is ideal case. So you may be attempted to use in your feedback compensation FVS. That is the case shown here. Okay. So FVS is not loop gain, is voltage feedback compensation. Then loop gain becomes this. This is what? This is the GVDS. This is GVDS Dewey ratio to output transfer function. This is your desired structure of voltage feedback compensation, which is a simple integrator. This is a modulator gain. Okay, so this is called simple integrator. There are many integrator. If you have square term here, there is a double integration. You have 3 as a cubic integrator, but we are talking about this simple integrator. Okay, with this simple integrator, so this is the expression for the loop gain. And there are 3 constants here. So constant occurring here is this one is constant, and this one is constant, and this one is constant. You combine all constant together here and use this one as a new integrator gain. So this is, you combine them together and you define KT as the new integrator gain. Then sketch this. Okay, so this KT divided by S is this line segment. Okay, looking at this KT is the integrated gain at this point, but before this you have double pole. Okay, slope originally is -1 and it is cut by -2, so it becomes -3. Okay, and this is the GVD. I just sketched this here for your reference. You don't pay attention this. This is the for reference. Okay, so just take a look at this. Right. So KT divided by S is this one, and you have double pole. So this reduced to the -3, and you have 0 here, omega ESR. Then this slope omega ESR is here, and slope becomes -2. All right. So this is the plot of your loop gain. And this is the GVD, Dewey ratio to output transfer function. I sketched just for reference. Okay, you may forget about this. Okay, but this is better to put here. It's not related directly. You come up with this. Okay, directly. Then you sketch this. What is the problem of this? Take a look at phase. Phase started with -1 here, so it starts -1. Okay, and this -1 create this 90-degree phase delay why you need integrator? Integrator is absolutely needed for DC regulation. Without integration, it is impossible to regulate the output. Okay? So this integrator structure is the basic things, the most basic things. So this we are using this here. We assume this FVS is KV divided by S integrator structure. Okay? This is the minimum requirement. Minimum requirement for DC regulation. DC regulation is the same as the output regulation. You want to have the fixed value at the output in steady state. That is called the DC regulation. For that purpose, you should have this integrator. So you are just assuming you only have this just to satisfy the minimum requirement. Then problem with that is the phase start minus 90 degree and double pole phase drops this minus 180 degree. In here phase is minus 270 degree. I think I wrote down here. Okay. And we have 0 here. So phase is eventually will be increased by 90 degree. So final phase is minus 180 here. But crossover frequency of this, assume this occurs here, okay? Then phase at the loop gain crossover frequency is far less than minus 180 degree. That means what? That indicate the converter is unstable, okay? If you use integrator, then converter immediately becomes unstable, okay? This is the polar plot of this loop gain. You know, the Nyquist analysis, okay? This is the polar plot of loop gain. This is a part of it. So just plotting this at low frequency, loop gain magnitude is very large, and the phase is minus 90 degree. So it came from somewhere here. So let me extend this. Okay? This is a minus imaginary axis. So originally it was coming something somewhere here, okay? Because phase is minus 90 degree, and during this time, phase is passing through. This is phase here is minus 180, and this phase is less than that. Maybe it is trying to approach this minus 270 degree, which is this plus real axis, but there is a 0, so it goes like this. Then this is a critical point. If polar plot encircle this critical point, then converter is unstable. That is the result of Nyquist analysis. That is the result of the simplified stability analysis I presented in the previous lecture slide. Okay, so you may go on to some of previous lecture. Okay, I'll mention that in the next slide. You understand this. This is a problem, okay? You cannot use integrator in this manner, but there is only one way of using integrator without meeting the instability. That is, reduce this integrator gain large, very large, okay? Extremely, sufficiently decrease. Okay, then the situation is this one. Okay, so you decrease this integrator gain KV here. Okay, much smaller value. Then this curve will goes down and come up with here. So this, okay, this remain the same. You just touch the magnitude of this loop gain. Phase remain the same. Phase, you didn't touch the phase. You just reduce the gain. So you have this situation. Omega C, 0 dB crossover frequency occurs here. Then at this point, phase is larger than 180 degree. That means stable. Okay, you maintain the stability somehow, but this distance is defined as, this one is what? This one is phase margin. Okay, So difference between the angle of the loop gain and minus 180 degree is defined as the phase margin. So this is the phase margin definition. And this is gain margin definition. Gain margin definition. Okay. So phase margin, gain margin is very small. Okay. Very small. But still stable. With very small margins, relative margins, is very dangerous design. Okay. This is very dangerous because your crossover frequency is in the neighborhood of this frequency. There is an abrupt phase change in this region. If something happens, maybe some tolerance from power stage component, if this point is moved around, then phase will change a lot. Okay, becomes unstable. This is not guaranteed. It is guaranteed in theory. Practically, it is impossible to maintain stability. Okay. Assume somehow you have maintained very small phase margin and small gauge margin. Then the polar plot of loop gain for this case is this one. Okay. Because it start out this one, minus 180 degree. So maybe it start out somewhere here. Okay. But it crosses, it does not pass this one, but this distance is very small, so this angle is related with PM, phase margin, and this distance is related with this gain margin. This is GM, this is PM, okay? They are very small, okay? And this trajectory is approaching dangerously to this critical point. If it touches this point, system is marginally stable. It generates this sustained oscillation. If it goes this direction, unstable, and this is very stable, okay. And the price of this is stable, but performance will be very poor, okay. Later on, you will understand this. This frequency is omega C. This omega C occurs many times. The loop gain crossover frequency here is omega C. Okay, and this is the sigma S J omega. This is the sigma and J omega here. Positive J omega. This X is closed pole. Closed pole, a pair of closed pole, conjugate pair of closed pole is dangerously close to the minus real axis. That means there is some peaking of your closed transfer functions. Okay, assume this is the output impedance. Actually, this is the output impedance. Then there is a peaking. Then peaking across this frequency, this omega C. And if you plot coordinate of this is the J omega C. So omega C occurs here. Okay, it's same information. In classical control, in classical control theory, this polar plot and this is the trajectory of the eigenvalue or pole and transfer function and the step load fields. They are same thing. They have only one information expressed in different way. Okay, they don't explain this. They teach this one separately. Okay, and many students they don't touch this. They are teaching something else, very strange things. Usually, okay. I know the most of professors, our university is doing that. There's one famous Indian guy doing this, okay. You know who that is, okay. And omega C is if there is this situation, this is a step load response of our voltage. So step load change is occurred in our voltage. Then our voltage will be very oscillatory. Okay? What you want to have is something similar to this. At this point, this is possible actually. If I design properly, I will obtain this. Okay? This is the attainable step load response and difference between, and this one is way different. And the frequency of this oscillation is related with, this is TS, is 2 pi divided by omega c. Okay, so omega c is coming at least 5 times in this flow. Okay, so even though this might be stable, this is garbage. Okay, this volt design. This is problem, right? So what was the origin of the problem? That is the phase delay incurred at the double pole frequency of power stage. Okay, it is there, so you cannot eliminate this. This comes from the power stage. Then you need to modify your structure of your voltage feedback compensation. Okay, and you have some doubt about this, go to this lecture 28 and the name of the YouTube series, lecture series, Dynamics and Control of PWM Converter. Go to there, and there are many useful information about that. Okay, so this is stable, but it cannot accept it, right? And I'd like to show the response of unstable converter. Okay, so this is the example I generate. So this is buck converter, closed buck converter. We are using this 3.20 this is 3.20 compensation, and the reference voltage is 4 volt, and there is nothing here. So output is regulated at this 4 volt, and this inductor current and 1 ohm load current is 4 amp. Then average value of inductor current is 4 amp. So this one was okay. So this is very stable operation, and I initially modified this. Originally this one is optimally selected, and I modified this, okay, which make this converter unstable. Then at this point it generates this one, output is going this oscillation, and the inductor current is generating oscillation. Okay, this is the response of unstable converter. Okay, of course in practical operation some protective operation is coming here, or the switch will burn out. Okay, so your hardware is gone, right? So this is the situation. Then why it happened? So one way is, if you analyze the Bode plot of this loop gain, or you generate the polar plot of the loop gain, then this was a stable loop gain. At this loop gain crossover frequency here, the phase of the loop gain is much larger than this critical value of 180 degree. So this is the well stable, and this one, this polar plot is coming from here. This one is also coming from here, and minus real axis somewhere here. But this one does not encircle this. It goes to this without touching this. So this is very stable. So that was the stable converter. Okay. With this new compensation parameters, loop gain, Bode plot of the loop gain, it changed to this. Then take a look at this crossover frequency. This is phase is almost minus 180. Okay, this means this phase margin is running out. Converter is unstable, and this is the polar plot. This is the real polar plot using the small signal model of this. Then it encircles this. Okay, so stability is confirmed from this and this. Okay, nothing is new here. You already learned this from the undergraduate course. Classical control theory is highlighting this, not always. Okay, I know some guy, he did not touch this at all. Indian guy. Okay, but this comes from the classical control theory, well-known theory. Nyquist proposed that maybe 67 years ago. But what is new here? What is new? This is not new for the classical control theory, but we are applying this nonlinear PWM converter. Okay. Theoretically, it is impossible to apply those theory to this. That theory is only valid for the time-invariant nonlinear system, but we are applying this to the time-varying nonlinear PWM converter. Why is that? because we have small signal model. Okay? Because the presence of the small signal model, this is possible. Without small signal model, there is no theoretical background for this. This is okay. Okay? But there is no theoretical background, or you may have no idea how generate this from this converter. Okay? So this comes from the small signal modeling and analysis, and we are following the best knowledge of classical control theory, which is already there. Okay? That is the beauty of small signal modeling of this. Okay? And let me explain this one more thing. Marginally stable buck converter. Marginally stable means this is a boundary between stability and instability at this frequency. So at this frequency, 0 dB crossover frequency, where magnitude of the loop gain is just 1, phase becomes minus 180 degree. Okay? That means the polar plot is just passing this critical point, which is minus 1, 0. So this point is minus 1, 0. Okay? So this loop gain is passing through this. Right? So this converter will generate sustained oscillation. Then what is the frequency of oscillation? Okay? So to explain that, the front graph loop gain evaluate at this omega c frequency. This is hertz. We are talking about radian per sec. Okay? At j omega c, at 2 pi times fc, this one, magnitude is 1, phase is minus 180. That is what? Number minus 1. Okay? This is another expression of minus 1. Okay? That means loop gain here at this frequency, then loop gain is minus 1, actually, real number, negative real number of unit. So magnitude is here, 0 dB, and the phase is minus 180. Then you move this here, then you have this expression, same expression. Okay? And meaning of this is, for this is characteristic equation, 1 plus TMS equals 0. TMS loop gain. This is a characteristic equation. Okay? You should know this. Right? And root of characteristic equation is what? Is pole, natural mode, eigenvalue. It has many different names. Okay? So this is the solution of this, and this is the root of the characteristic equation of this. Then you have the characteristic equation has root at this imaginary axis plus j omega c minus j omega c. Then there should be a sustained oscillation or at this frequency. You know this. You should know this. Okay? Then there is oscillation frequency is evaluate this. So there is a root here. And then oscillation is 2 pi divided omega c is 0.5 millisecond, and distance between this is 0.5 millisecond. Okay? Magnitude of this should be determined from the something else. I don't want to go that details here, but this frequency is accurately estimated from the classical control theory. Okay? And this is coming from the Ripple, so you ignore this, then everything is okay. Right? Again, the purpose of showing this is we predicted the dynamics of this time invariant system, PW gain, using classical control theory. So classical control theory is so important. Okay? Without knowing this, many modern theory, many things, just garbage. Okay? There are many strange people out there. Okay, so this is the end of lecture 3 of this lecture series. Okay, so basically we discussed in this lecture this asymptotic analysis, graphical analysis, and the way of extracting the transfer function from the asymptotic plot, and the problem of this simple integration as a feedback compensation circuit. And I demonstrate the dynamics of unstable converter and marginally stable converter. And again, the most important factor here is we are using classical control theory without any problem, without almost no limitation, because presence of small signal model. Okay, all right. So this is the end of this lecture. Okay.